Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm proud to have voted for the American Rescue Plan, which provided a historic increase to the child tax credit. By boosting the credit to $3,600 for infants and toddlers and $3,000 for children, and paying those credits on a monthly basis, child poverty decreased by 30% in 2021. In the same year, food insecurity decreased by 24%, the equivalent to 2 million fewer children going hungry. For parents with a newborn at home and a toddler in daycare, that was $600 a month that helped pay for diapers, for baby formula, for childcare, and for children between 6 and 17 years of age, the $250 monthly payment went towards new clothes, maybe a laptop for school, the money needed to join an extracurricular activity. Unfortunately, this critical lifeline ended for hardworking families across the nation at the end of 2021. So, Ms. Lester, can you talk about how the enhanced child tax credit impacted your day-to-day life and what's changed since its expiration?
Yes, thank you. As I've said before, it helped us pay for basic needs monthly that come up. Bills come up monthly, not just once a year. We pay for clothes, shoes. We've paid for extracurricular activities as well. Since it's gone, and now I have a second child, our expenses have just, doubled. And, with less help that we can, count on, that has caused me to, run through savings and kind of, running out of resources. And that's why, after this year, I do wonder how we'll continue on at this kind of rate of continuing to pay the astronomical childcare bill that we have with the little assistance that we get. Because right now, with the child dependent care tax credit, we hardly receive anything. I think it just amounts to literally a few dollars for us. And, I wasn't aware of that before I had children. I believed that there was, tax incentives for people that self-paid for, daycare, that there was a little more help than there is in reality. And the expanded one from 2021, we qualified for. And that particular year when we filed for it, I believe that was the only refund we had received was from that credit, or, we would have received nothing or would have possibly owed.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's stay on childcare for a moment. And childcare is about being able to be free to go to work. We talk about the ability to work. Childcare is a big part of that, as well as formation of the child. The child independent care tax credit is, I think, critical in making childcare more accessible for working and middle-class families. The American Rescue Plan took the long overdue step in boosting the credit from $3,000 to $8,000, but that was only temporary. So, Ms. Matsui, what are the economic benefits that families and the economy stand to gain if the federal government made critical investments in childcare?
Thank you for the question, Senator. As you're well aware, childcare is incredibly important to sustain the employment of keeping women in the paid workforce, for supporting families, and also to help childcare workers who are among some of the most poorly paid workers in our country, but do this essential work. The way that the American Rescue Plan Act expanded the child independent care tax credit, primarily by making it refundable, made that credit available to low and moderate income families, because under current law, families who don't have sufficient tax liability can't get any benefit from it at all. It's only a non-refundable credit that wipes away tax liability, and so only a very small fraction of its benefits go to low and moderate income families. So especially, and as you noted, the size of the credit doesn't come close to matching the costs of childcare that families are experiencing every month. So, if the child independent care tax credits expansions were restored, along with kind of the robust systemic investments in childcare to make the system stronger and support providers, childcare workers, and families overall, it would make it easier for parents to go to work. It would make the workforce more stable for employers, and that would boost our economic growth overall.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of my colleagues talking about the value of work and rewarding work. Well, you've got to be able to get to work, and childcare is an important part of that. One last question, if I may. You know, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 added nearly $2 trillion to the annual deficit over 10 years. But one of the cruelest provisions in the law was excluding the child tax credit for certain tax-paying families because of their immigration status. Isn't the theory, Ms. Matsui, behind the child tax credit applicable to both I-10 filers and filers with a Social Security number? Basically, that proposition being that taxpayers should be able, and I underline taxpayers, should be able to keep a portion of the potential taxes owed and use that money on their children.
Senator, I agree completely with you. Children of the I-10s need support in the same way that children with Social Security numbers do. The benefits of the child tax credit are denied to a significant number of children just because of that tax number status, and many of them are dreamers. So I think that having the child tax credit be able to be claimed for children with I-10s is an important equity issue, it's an important economic issue, and it addresses the needs of children so that all of us have access to supports and the ability to succeed in our economy.
Well, I appreciate that. Mr. Chairman, we're talking about families who are paying taxes to the federal government. And we will never be able to fully solve the issue of child poverty until I-10 filers have also the ability to access this essential tax credit. So I appreciate you holding this hearing.
The